9th Street between New York and Pennsylvania Avenue, where we have police department activity. Inbound New York Avenue before Florida Avenue for report of a crash. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
Skies will clear, becoming sunny and warm this afternoon with a high of 82. Partly cloudy overnight with a low of 60. It is 74 at Reagan National. I'm John Matthews. News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. Chris Plant.
We're here tonight in the heartland of our nation to celebrate the most successful first 100 days of any administration in the history of our country. And that's according to many, many people.
That's according to many, many people. Not just a few people, but many and many, many people. The first 100 days, we're now at day 101. You know what that means? That means we have 1,360 days left. What are the Democrats going to do? I wonder if Amazon will sell them Hamas-style suicide vests by the millions. Well, happy hump day to you. Happy Wednesday to you, and welcome back. It is, of course, hump day in the Clinton household. Whichever multi-million-dollar mansion they're in, New York or Washington, D.C., Embassy Row. Where else do they have places? Michael, Moscow, where are their places? Hillary Clinton naturally waking up face down in a pool of her own dried vomit on the linoleum kitchen floor with an empty 1-gallon cardboard box of cheap New Zealand Chardonnay next to her. She knows it's Wednesday and that's hump day in the Clinton household, and she's got to get out. Get out. Because Bill, it's the deal. He gets the house to himself, you know, because, I mean, he's the one who got that $500,000 speaking engagement in Moscow. It is good to be a Democrat. And nobody accused him of Russian collusion. That was kind of interesting, wasn't it? So we got that. That also means that it's mailbag day here on the Chris Plant Show. And I have right here in my hand, I'm shaking the paper made from Canadian wood pulp. I wish they'd just calm down, don't you? They got lids back again. But I have my mailbag questions in hand, provided me by Michael Piercy this morning. And President Trump, what we opened with there was President Trump last night in Michigan, the great state of Michigan, the beautiful state of Michigan, where he had a big rally, and it was a lot of fun. Everybody had a good time, except for one crazy liberal. Was that crazy liberal was that a man or a woman? President Trump was having, is that a man or is that, he was looking because a crazy disruptor, did he or she self-immolate or anything like that after? I heard somebody talking about self-immolation last night on the television, said that the Democrat Party is self-immolating. And I thought, well, let's have a big Jonestown down on the mall for the Democrat Party. But we'll get into all that. President Donald Trump jokes about protester who disrupted 100 Days speech. Quote, thought it was a guy. That's in the headline right there. That's good stuff. Also, Scott Jennings, the CNN guy, the one conservative on CNN who always puts them in their childlike place. And Scott Jennings showed up at the President Trump rally in Michigan last night and talked about how he owns the libs on CNN. Everybody laughed and clapped. Nobody firebombed Tesla or a Jewish governor's house or shot anybody because that's for the Democrats, you know, that's stuff. And President Trump calls out Amazon's Jeff Bezos, you know, the Democrat centibillionaire. They love their billionaires. They just hate anybody else's billionaires, and they might have to firebomb things because they do a lot of that these days. And President Trump, because he never stops, did a big interview, a full-blown, a lengthy interview with the apparatchiks at ABC Fake News, and they're going after him and trying to get a gotcha question in. You have 100% confidence in Pete Hegseth? Gee, I don't know. Where's Lloyd Austin? Is he out of the hospital yet? Because Joe Biden's Secretary of Defense disappeared for weeks on end, and his immediate deputies didn't know where he was, and there was war breaking out in Europe. And ABC News never asked a single sniveling question about that because, charlatanism is their big game. Amazing stuff. And President Trump answered, of course. Good stuff. But yeah, where is Lloyd Austin? And how about his Secretary of State, Antony Blinken? He was doing such a great job as war was breaking out in Europe and war breaking out in the Middle East. And where was he? Did we ever see him anywhere? Did they argue over the size or the shape of a table to negotiate peace? The answer is no. The answer is no. Almost as bad, but probably not quite as bad as Hillary Clinton when she was Secretary of State, our chief diplomat. And Barack Obama, during Barack Obama's presidency, he used the U.S. military to attack more countries than any president since the end of World War II. Speaking of the end of World War II, today is the 80th anniversary of the death, the suicide, shot through the head, self-inflicted, of the leader of the Socialist Workers' Party in Germany. That happened 80 years ago today. Sergeant Pepper called the band to play, and that was 1945. Adolf Hitler in the Führerbunker in Berlin. My best girl and I, we've been to the location where the Führerbunker was. Ava Braun was still standing outside. She looks pretty good, all things considered. Oh wait, yeah, she overdosed on drugs there, and then Dolph shot himself in the head and killed himself. That was 80 years ago today, and kind of a big deal. We're still trying to find out how they're going to commemorate that at Harvard University. Are they going to have a rally in the quad? Do they have a quad there? I don't know. And maybe they're going to have a candlelight vigil because, how they love flames ever since they're riding around on horseback with bullwhips and torches, the Democrat Party of the KKK. But maybe a candlelight vigil for Adolf Hitler at Harvard, because that would be perfectly in keeping with the more or less newfound traditions. Got to scratch the surface a little deeper to find their history from the 1930s and the 1940s when it comes to the Nazis. But never mind all that. Let's see how old man Joe Kennedy was getting along with the Socialist Workers' Party of Adolf Hitler. But that was 80 years ago today, and that was a good thing. Adolf Hitler shooting himself. They would have been nicer if you could capture him and maybe give him to the Soviets, because they would. Oh yeah, speaking of which, you see the lady that was released. I'll get to this. Tortured by the Russians, a reporter, Ukraine, and she. Wait till you hear this, because pretty gruesome. My best girl was reading it to me over breakfast this morning. Past the granola. Pretty amazing story, because this is what commies do. Not that our news media focuses on that or anything. Today is also the 50th anniversary of the fall of Saigon in Vietnam to the, as Ted Kennedy used to say, in Vietnam to the communists backed by the Soviet Union, the predecessors of Vlad the Impaler Putin. And the Democrats applauded because they were on the side of the communists, even in the 1970s. They were not on the side of the good guys. They really haven't been on the side. Were they ever on the side of the good guys? So should we go back to Andrew Jackson and the Trail of Tears, and then let's see Jefferson Davis and the Confederate States of America, the Nathan Bedford Forrest, then Jim Crow, then shall I go on? We've got all of them, George Wallace, and we've got there was a George Wallace presidential campaign volunteer that shot and killed Martin Luther King. The Democrats never get the credit they're due because of information dominance and the corruption of the left, of course. But today is the 50th anniversary of the fall of Saigon to the commies. And, a lot of great people that served in the Vietnam War, Americans, and a lot of great Vietnamese that fought against the communists, and families that fled. My stepfather, Bill Plant, was a TV news reporter for CBS News at the time. I was a small child, and he, he was there for the evacuation of Vietnam when I was a child, watching it on TV and all that good stuff. And I certainly know people and have friends who were evacuated as children. I have one friend who's a woman in Washington who was a paratrooper in the South Vietnamese army fighting the commies, and an amazing woman, Germaine, wonderful. And there are other names I don't want to drop for various reasons, but interesting day, this day, 50 years ago, that Saigon fell to the communists, and the Hanoi Janes of the world, they're on the side, and the mainstream of the Democrat Party at the time, don't kill yourself on the side, don't kid yourself on the side of the communists, and all that. And I've visited Vietnam. I've been to Saigon. I don't call it Ho Chi Minh City, but the New York Times does today, because they love Ho Chi Minh. Ho, ho, Ho Chi Minh. They had chants for him in the 1960s.
Oh, these fuckers.
Was MIA forever and ever.
I hate that when it fucking happens.
Vietnam is a great country. The Vietnamese people are great. It's communists that are bad. And that's a big problem, because they're still on the loose. You got Vlad the Impaler, Putin. They love murdering people by the millions. You know, the Chinese Wuhan, that came out of the Wuhan lab, they say that killed more than 7 million people worldwide. And that's why the commies in the United States, they call themselves Democrats, don't want to investigate the origins of the Wuhan Red Death. The Wuhan Red Death killed, they say, 7 million people, the World Health Organization, including more than 1 million people in the United States. And our news media, representing the Democrat Party, shrugged and said, yeah, whatever, we don't care. You know, we killed 1 million babies last year in the womb. We harvested their organs and played with them in the parking lot. The Democrat Party, they're the commies of today. In the United States, the left is here. They're not liberals. This is the authoritarian / totalitarian. I don't want to sell them short. Left, the worldwide left, the Davos left, the big part of it driving the train here. But the Democrat Party, they're not on the side of the Bill of Rights or freedom or liberty or American traditions or customs. They're in favor of open borders and of Luigi Mangione. They love Luigi Mangione. They love MS-13. They love Tren de Aragua. The Democrat Party, they are on the list of bad guys in the world, no doubt about it. But there is a lot to talk about today. It's not like I wrote any of this down. I just went in and I started. But illegal alien arrests, the Democrats are on the side of all illegal aliens. And we've got a headline today on our stories sheet for the day. Violent Democrats. Michael, you sold this category short. There are only 2 items there. However, our friend Jack Posobiec, he was violently attacked at what appears to be at the instigation of Democrat Congressman Jamie Raskin. Jack Posobiec, an independent journalist, great presence online. He's on the side of truth, justice, and the American way. And Jack Posobiec, I don't know if you've seen the video, violently attacked by a mob of goons and thugs on the ground being stomped. You can see the bottom of the shoes coming down on him as the violent mob is stomping. And there's Jamie Raskin, the Democrat congressman, also the Lost Marks brother. He seemed to be inciting and inviting and directing the violent mob of union thugs, and they violently attacked Jack. And we live in America with Democrats very much in charge locally and beyond. And so there will be no consequences. And they've identified, Jack Posobiec has identified at least a couple of the meat-headed thugs that violently attacked him like gangsters from the 1930s on the waterfront. It was just amazing stuff. Also in just this morning in Times Square, a gunman on the run after one shot just off of Times Square. And the police are looking for a Democrat, because one thing they can say for sure is that it's a Democrat. Also, another header, the left loves MS-13 and Hamas. And they do. They really, really do. Remarkable party, the Democrat Party. And their judges. This is a great one, actually. The Judge Dugan, who helped the criminal woman-beating gang member sneak out of the back of the courthouse so he didn't face the consequences of his criminal actions and his being here in the country illegally. The Democrat Party is really here to fundamentally transform the United States of America, as Barack Obama said, by destroying it. But the Supreme Court in the state of Wisconsin suspended Judge Dugan indefinitely because it appears that she's part of an international crime network, and that should be frowned upon, I think. Also, scathing, speaking of Hitler dying and the candlelight vigil at Harvard tonight for Hitler, scathing Harvard report details pervasive anti-Semitism driven by politicized instruction. That is to say, they're learning Nazism at Harvard. That's what's going on there. Isn't that remarkable? Again, President Trump interview with ABC, President Trump with a big rally. When do you hear this fraud from ABC? And President Trump puts him in his place a couple of times. Lots and lots of things. We've got also, what are they doing in Seattle? And there's a neighborhood park there that people are upset with what Democrats are doing in this park. You may not believe it, but it's true. And we are at 888-630-9625.
We are 5 days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America.
There's only one Chris Plank. The Chris Plank Show. News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news.
WMAL traffic from the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center. Jam solid 395 across the 14th Street Bridge and the 11th Street Bridge. Everyone trying to get onto the freeway. The exit to the 12th Street Tunnel is closed. That's where we have police activity now. Earlier, we had 14th and L Streets closed and a portion of 9th Street's closed again with police activity. But it looks like it's all focused now on the 12th Street Tunnel near Constitution Avenue. McLean closed with down wires. Cambridge Road between the George Washington Parkway and Glebe Road. 270, the crash is southbound before Montgomery.
All right, I'm going to respond to you right here, Acid Drip. Since you want my attention, I have a pretty good feeling that when you were a kid growing up, not only did you get bullied by the boys, but you got bullied by the girls. Them skinny little arms, that pointed fucking chin. Your head looks like it's on a spick. I'll say it again. Alpesh Patel, first, second, third, fourth grade, where people are the meanest, that motherfucker got bullied. Somehow that's my responsibility. Everybody has you triggered there, fucking Alpesh. You fucking olive oil looking fucker. Let's see you do another push-up. What fucking good are you? You barely got enough fucking strength to press the keys on the keyboard. If I wanted to, I could do what everybody does out here. I sort of do, only in a different way. Will Durant, looks like you're king. You're going to have to deal with Billy Hayden. I hope you realize that. I ain't fucking kissing your ring, that's for sure, Will Durant. You are welcome to come up on my panel. Just let me know in the side chat. There's your buddy, Paul. There we go. Open chat. I don't feel like timing anybody out today. You guys go right ahead. I'm going to turn my radio program back on.
Alcohol on your health. Is it just me, or does it seem that everyone arrives at a different conclusion? I think it's that time again, because I was just reading about some new research out of Spain that found for people following the Mediterranean diet that drinking a small glass of wine with dinner may protect the heart for people at risk of heart disease. Now, I'll repeat what I've said many times before, and that is this. If you don't already drink wine, don't start drinking wine in pursuit of better health. What I would take away from this study, the importance of a proper pour. Here in the United States, a glass of wine is 5 ounces. And don't forget, there are more impactful ways to lower your risk of cardiovascular disease. Eat a healthy diet. Get plenty of exercise. Don't smoke. And if you do at all drink wine, cut back just a little bit. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
Illuminating the issues
There's a whole lot missing here in this story, isn't there?
every day.
Why are we the only ones reporting this?
News Talk 105.9. Making sense of the news.
We're with Bridget, whose husband won't be home for months and whose daughter is due any day. We're with all service members and their families. Are you with them? Learn more at uso.org today.
Hi, I'm Jamie McMurray, professional race car driver here with cab driver Artie.
Professional cab driver.
Professional cab driver Artie. Drinking responsibly is knowing your limits. If you are over yours, ask Artie or someone like Artie to get you home safely. To learn more about drinking responsibly, go to beforeyoudrink.org.
So, you think I could take your number 26 Crown Royal race car for a spin?
Did you get out of there?
Be a champion. Drink responsibly. This message has been brought to you by the Century Council.
WMAL, making sense of education, because what's happening in your kid's school matters. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
All right, I've got an update on Robert De Niro's family life. News about his son. What's her name? It's but right now, let's go to the telephones. I tell you, liberals, everything is wrong with their brain. All of them. Let's go to John, calling from beautiful upstate New York, Buffalo, New York. John, you're on the Chris Plank Show.
Morning, Chris.
Morning.
Yeah, you probably saw the clip of J.B. Pritzker calling for violent. I didn't say violent, but, get in the streets, get out there in the street. And I was thinking to myself, can you imagine how happy he was in 2020 when the cities were burning? He must have been physically excited. I don't know if he can reach that far down in his body to, but stop and think about it. Here's a guy who's supposedly a governor of a state, great state. Everybody knows Illinois, home of the Chicago Bulls, and great. And to think that he and Brandon Johnson are in the same state. I mean, how do people vote for people like that? Can you explain that to me, Chris?
I think it's the characteristics of a suicidal death cult like Jonestown are quite pervasive in today's Democratic Party. And there are a lot of mental issues. They're having a lot of with gender and with capitalism and with the role of the United States in the world and their ignorance when it comes to history and to economics and war and peace and education and in particular gender. I've got to say that's one of their things. It's mental dwarfism and it's a pandemic here in the United States, John. And how do you explain that? That the J.B. Pritzker, who inherited billions and billions from his grandfather, who created the Hyatt Hotel chain, and they're thinking he might run for president, maybe of El Salvador or something, but it is amazing. And I'm going to play the audio for you coming up. So stay right there, John.
This is the Chris Plant Show. News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
Nothing you can say could tear me away from my door.
WMAL traffic from the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center. Trying to get into town right now, an absolute mess. 395 northbound is jammed as you come out of Shirlington, and this is to get onto the freeway. No access into the 12th Street Tunnel. That remains closed with the police department activity crawling onto lower 14th Street to Constitution Avenue. That's where we also have some closures along Constitution Avenue with the police activity. Chain Bridge Road is closed each direction between the George Washington Parkway and the Chain Bridge because of down wires. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
Sunshine this afternoon, warm of 82, partly cloudy skies overnight, low 55.
Actor Michael Rosenbaum, you know some of the most talented people in the business.
Let's get inside of Jack Osborne. Bands would say Black Sabbath was a huge influence. And thank God you liked it, boy. Yeah. Elijah Wood.
Peter gets on the phone. Elijah, would you like to play the role further? Did you cry? Probably screamed at the top of my lungs.
You play iconic characters, Black Canary and Black Siren. Who would you choose?
Probably Black Siren. She was like, I got this. And that's how Katie Cassidy feels. She's got this.
I like that.
The Inside of You podcast. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Your phone has a lot of apps, but how many of them help you make sense of your world? The new WMAL app gives you the latest headlines, perspective from the voices you trust, and weather info to keep you in the know. All without.
I've been thinking about this for a while. Right? Can't be his landlord didn't appreciate the hookers and all the criminals showing up at the door. You know, you claiming you had hookers there. I know one thing, if I was the building owner and I fucking caught you doing that, I'd evict your dumb ass too. Get the fuck out of here. You're a dumb motherfucker, Alpesh. You're fucking dumber than fucking dumb. You fucking exude dumbness.
Because this is what happens when you're a Republican.
Chris Plant, weekdays 9 to noon.
Yeah, our news media, really.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
Hi, I'm Vince Callahan, host of The Vince Show and Vince Podcast. It's a show with an obsessive focus on what's good for America. I'll give you the truth beneath the headlines of all of the nation's top stories. The Vince Show is redefining news talk with in-depth interviews, live caller interactions, and a front row seat to the most important conversations of the day, every day. The Vince Show and Vince Podcast.
WMAL's Vince Callahan, weekdays at noon. News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
As a young adult at this point in your life, you probably have a lot of questions. Like, what's next? What does my future hold? The thing is, there's no right answer, only your answer. Your friendships, experiences, and purpose. It's all your choice. So what will you choose? As you make choices about the future, the military can be a resource for information to help bring a fulfilling path into focus. Public service.
Since you want a response on it, you don't think I've talked to fucking people in the village? They all know what you've done. You're just dumb. You're a fucking idiot. But go ahead. You're free to be an idiot. Because you are an idiot there, fucking Alpesh. You skinny little fuck. You gotta call the cops again. You got the phone number still?
Wishes need stars like you. Visit Make-A-Wish at wish.org.
We're the stronger than we look type. I've had type 1 diabetes since I was 2. The braver than you think type.
I have to take insulin shots every single day.
The type that will stop at nothing.
No more blood sugar tests.
Absolutely nothing.
No more complications.
Until type 1 becomes type none.
Support JDRF's life-changing research, and one day you'll say, I helped turn type 1 into type none. Join us now at jdrf.org.
Making sense of your world.
Common sense. Let's get back to common sense.
WMAL's Vince Callahan, weekdays at noon.
Now that should give you a lot of cause for hope.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news. Clarity and context for a complex world.
I'm going to be far more thorough and specific than ever before.
News Talk 105.9. Making sense of the news.
Every time I feel my baby kick, I sing. You don't understand. I never sing. I'm not good at singing. I'm the only person I know who's been booed off a karaoke stage.
Whatever.
But that was before I was pregnant. Today, I'm a singer with a captive audience of one. She doesn't boo me. She never will. We know how it feels. We're the March of Dimes. Find out how we can help you have a healthier baby at marchofdimesbaby.org.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
A Democrat mob at the White House praising Hamas and killing Jews and kidnapping Americans and holding them hostage. They are Democrats in the United States of America. That was during the Biden administration in the White House, and the violent mob of criminal, psychotic, genocidal racists who think that they're liberals because they think that they're standing up for Hamas and that Hamas is somehow oppressed by the Jews. You know, this is a tough day for the Democrat left in the United States. The fall of Saigon, and they 50 years ago today, and they want to celebrate the rise of communism against the United States of America. They supported the communists back then. They supported the communists in Nicaragua when the Soviet Union had the Sandinistas stood up in Nicaragua. They love totalitarianism because they're not liberals, they're the left. And so today, they're going to first stop and celebrate. And let me first say, God bless you, and I'm saluting right now American Vietnam War veterans, and I know many. The war was a good and noble war, a good and noble cause, and it ended today, 50 years ago, because Republican presidents put an end to it after Democrat presidents got us into the Vietnam War up to our eyeballs. First, John F. Kennedy, the senior, not the junior. First President John F. Kennedy, who was then shot in the head and killed by a communist, Lee Harvey Oswald. And he loved his woman from the Soviet Union, from Severodvinsk. I've been to Severodvinsk in northern Russia on the White Sea, also to the submarine base there. But it was a communist who loved the Soviet Union that shot and killed John F. Kennedy. And then LBJ, of course, really got us into the Vietnam War up to our eyeballs. And, a lot of research suggests that he and his family became quite wealthy as a result off of helicopters and off the war. And then Richard Nixon came in and brought the commies to the peace table, and Henry Kissinger. And eventually it was Gerald R. Ford, Republican president in Washington, D.C., that presided over the final end of the Vietnam War. The Democrats blame Richard Nixon for the Vietnam War, and they teach in colleges that it was Richard Nixon's war because the communists and the left and people who call themselves liberals lie about everything, even when they know what the truth is, and very often they don't. But that's a remark. So the Democrats, they've got to feel torn between celebrating the victory of the communists in Vietnam 50 years ago today and the death of Adolf Hitler. Now that they are rampaging against Jewish people, not just on Ivy League campuses, but certainly on Ivy League campuses across the country, in New York City and Los Angeles and beyond, terrorizing Jewish Americans, the Democrat Party. And with the 80th anniversary today, same day, but different year, in case Democrats are trying to sort that out. What are they going to do? I think at Harvard, they should definitely be having clashing candlelight vigils tonight, celebrating communism and the Socialist Workers' Party of Adolf Hitler, because, we've got that. The New York Times today, they've got the headline, Ho Chi Minh City celebrates the fall of Saigon with a parade. That's the New York Times headline today, and they're celebrating the fall, and they call it Ho Chi Minh City. I call it Saigon. And when I was in Saigon, making my way around Saigon, by vehicle and on foot, a lot on foot. You see there are restaurants and dry cleaners and businesses all over the place where the word Saigon is on the storefront. You see the word Saigon all over the place. The communists named it after a mass murderer, a genocidal psychopath named Ho Chi Minh. And the New York Times, they're in bed with Ho Chi Minh. They were in bed with Ho Chi Minh 50 years ago and 55 years ago and 60 years ago because the lefties have been there forever and ever. Now, the people at NDTV, Vietnam marks 50 years of fall of Saigon with grand parade. Fighter jets and helicopters, military stuff, commies, kill people. Carrying flags flew overhead with a float carrying a portrait of founding leader Ho Chi Minh as part of march. The Vietnamese people are great, and they're still fighting communism in a variety of ways. But the Democrats here in the United States, they're another thing altogether. All right, now I was, and again, I assume there will be candlelight vigils at Harvard to commemorate the 80th anniversary of Adolf Hitler shooting himself in the head and killing himself in the Fuhrer bunker. And his creepy, skanky woman, Eva Braun, he gave her a drug overdose or poison. She ingested the lethal things. Now, we were just talking to John in Buffalo, New York, and he was talking about Governor J.B. Pritzker, the Democrat in Illinois, who inherited billions of dollars and earned nothing for himself and bought, of course, the governorship in New York because that's what they do. Remember when the Democrats were trading for Barack Obama's Senate seat when Barack Obama became the presidential nominee, and the Democrats they were selling the Senate seat, and most of their governors do one term in the state house and then one term in the big house. More governors than not go to prison in Illinois because of the corruption. But let's go to the morbidly obese Democrat Governor J.B. Pritzker, who inherited his billions, bought the governor's mansion, and now he seems to be calling for bad things in the United States of America. And since John mentioned it out of Buffalo, let's go to soundbite number 22. J.B. Pritzker, and I actually played this audio for you a couple of days ago, day before yesterday on Monday morning. But we got a little bit of an update here, so I want to share it with you. J.B. Pritzker, he's never called for, assassinations and fire bombings and genocide against the Jews before, but now he's rethinking things.
Never before in my life have I called for mass protests, for mobilization, for disruption, but I am now.
Woo! Yes! Woo!
These Republicans cannot know a moment of peace.
Mobilization, mass protests. Now, keeping in mind in a world where a Bernie Sanders campaign volunteer shot Congressman Steve Scalise and was gunned down by U.S. Capitol Police because he was there to mow down an entire baseball field of Republican members of Congress, President Trump shot through the ear, but only because he had just turned his head to the right. Otherwise, it would have been very different. In Butler, Pennsylvania, another suicide attack. That gunman shot and killed, one shot, one killed by U.S. Secret Service sniper. Another suicide attack. The Democrats just firebombed the governor's mansion in Pennsylvania. A week ago, not much more, not 2 weeks ago. It was during Passover. The family had just finished their Seder dinner a little while earlier, and the Democrats showed up with Molotov cocktails and firebombed the place. They're firebombing and shooting up Tesla dealerships. They're violent mobs in the streets attacking people. Maybe my favorite part of the Pritzker soundbite that we just played, and this should be on T-shirts and on hats. There should be a song. There should be chants. And it's possible that Governor Pritzker should be arrested like that Judge Dugan in Milwaukee. The Democrat Party has elected politicians that love crime and criminals, and Luigi Mangione, they want to date him. That's a euphemism. Governor Pritzker.
These Republicans cannot know a moment of peace.
These Republicans cannot know a moment of peace. Okay. Well, I don't know how many. Donald Trump was shot, and Steve Scalise was shot, and the governor is now. He was a Democrat governor, firebombed his house. The Democrat Party is a violent, criminal, terroristic hate group at this point because they commit acts of political violence pretty much every day. J.B. Pritzker, the Democrat governor of the state of Illinois, the great state of Illinois, and those. I was reminded of Mel Brooks and Blazing Saddles when I heard this one. But here comes J.B. Pritzker. Those awful, terrible. Now keep in mind, they're the party that's firebombing everybody, shooting everybody. They're the party aborting 1 million babies a year, literally. They're the party of crime and mayhem, commies and totalitarian and authoritarians. Here's J.B. Pritzker.
They have to understand that we will fight their cruelty with every megaphone and microphone that we have. We must castigate them on the soapbox and then punish them at the ballot box. They must feel in their bones that when we survive this shameful episode of American history with our democracy intact, because we have no alternative but to do just that we will relegate their portraits to the museum halls reserved for tyrants and traitors.
That's right. If you're one of 77 million Americans that didn't vote for the Democrat, who was Kamala Harris, she's got a speech tonight, by the way, in San Francisco, naturally, and you can give her $50,000 to attend the speech and she doesn't even play guitar. It's pretty amazing stuff. But the relegated to the museum, their portraits, and be relegated to the museum halls for tyrants and traitors. Right? You guys should stop firebombing and shooting people and terrorizing and jailing your political enemies and taking them away in leg shackles. And the left, honestly, the fall of Saigon 50 years ago today, the death of the leader of the Socialist Workers' Party, Adolf Hitler, 80 years ago today. We're the ones that oppose all. We're the freedom people. We're the liberty people. We're the pro-life people. You're the pro-death people. Cool. You guys should all, I think, flock down to Guyana and get truckloads of Kool-Aid, but store-brand Kool-Aid, not Kool-Aid brand Kool-Aid, because that would be in keeping with the amazing stuff. And Pritzker, J.B. Pritzker, went to a human rights campaign event. They're not for human rights. It's all LGBTQ. It's got nothing to do with broader human rights. And J.B. Pritzker at the gay rally.
Bending to the whims of a bully will not end his cruelty. It will only embolden him.
Cruelty.
The response to authoritarianism isn't acquiescence. Bullies respond to one thing, and one thing only, a punch in the face.
Yes, a punch in the face. That should be what happens, a punch in the face. I don't think he could raise his arm and extend his arm to punch anybody in the face, so he'd have to hire somebody to do it with his grandfather's money. It's the tyrants and traitors. Traitors, you betray your country if you're in favor of your country, because if you're not with the communist billionaire rabble burning, firebombing, shooting, terrorizing, committing acts of mob violence pretty much every day, then you're a tyrant. If you're not engaged in supporting Luigi Mangione, who gunned down a CEO, father of two, never done anything wrong in his life. If you're not a supporter of Luigi Mangione, then you're a tyrant and a traitor. If you're not a supporter of Mahmoud Khalil, who supports the extermination of the Jewish people, then you're a traitor and a tyrant. If you don't support MS-13 and Tren de Aragua, then you're a traitor and a tyrant. The Democrat Party, J.B. Pritzker. Amazing.
Oh, have you ever seen such cruelty?
And now he's advocating that you punch everybody in the face, because the Democrat Party. Now let's go to, speaking of punching people in the face, Jack Posobiec, he's been with One America News Network, and he's a big force on Twitter and X, and he has been for a long time. And he's out there trying to tell the truth. Now, Jamie Raskin, radical extremist Democrat member of Congress from Maryland, had they bust in Union thugs and Union thug T-shirts to Union Station in Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, in the shadow of the United States Capitol. And Democrat Congressman Jamie Raskin was yelling through a bullhorn. They love their bullhorns. And Jack Posobiec yelled at him. He's yelled about how great the Democrat Party is. And Jack Posobiec asked, well, why did you lose all the swing states? And why, you're not very popular? And Jamie Raskin pointed at Jack Posobiec, and a gang of bloated, overweight Union thugs attacked Jack Posobiec and beat him to the ground and stomped on him and apparently stole his phone. He was trying to get back. Let me get my phone. No, and we have to bleep out all the curses from the gangster communist thugs that Jamie Raskin sicked on Jack Posobiec.
The greatness of America is the right to protest
Raskin.
for what is right.
Yeah. Now Jack's going to protest.
And that's where we are today. I'll leave you with my friends with the words of the great Marylander Frederick Douglass. Jamie, why did you lose the popular vote? Why did you lose every single swing state?
He just said you have a right to protest. They've never chanted USA in their lives. Raskin is pointing, here comes the mob of thugs, big, fat, heart attack thugs. Now they're punching him in the face. Now they're beating Jack to the ground. Now they're stomping on him. You see in the camera the soles of shoes stomping on him. Didn't the congressman just say the whole country is about having the right to protest? And then Jack shouted a question that reporters should be asking. Other reporters should be asking. And that is, why'd you lose the popular vote? Why'd you lose every swing state? And he literally pointed, the communist pig from Maryland, he pointed at Jack and gestured toward him with his extended fingers. And then the corpulent, too many cheeseburger Union thugs beat the hell out of Jack Posobiec. Didn't the congressman just say seconds earlier, the United States is about the right to protest? You're a member of Congress. He's a journalist. He's a citizen. And the Democrat congressman loosed a gang of cattle-like thugs on him who beat him mercilessly right after saying America is about the right to protest.
Bullies respond to one thing and one thing only, a punch in the face.
You're listening to The Chris Plant Show. News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
WMAL traffic from the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center. Outer loop at Central Avenue. All traffic had been stopped for the vehicle fire. Now the left lane gets jammed back near Route 4, Pennsylvania Avenue. Down Wires and McLean closes Chain Bridge Road each direction between the George Washington Parkway and the Chain Bridge. Major tie-ups heading into the district off of both the 11th Street Bridge and the 14th Street Bridge. 395 we're back to King Street in delays. No access into the 12th Street Tunnel because of police department activity. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
Sunshine this afternoon, warm with a high of 82, partly cloudy skies overnight, low 55.
Making sense of your morning.
Lots of coverage here on that developing story.
O'Connor and Company, weekday mornings from 5 to 9.
Larry O'Connor here getting you through your morning.
Making sense of Washington.
Asking some very specific questions, some legitimate questions.
Making sense of the double standard.
Then here's the latest example.
Making sense of the headlines.
Let me break it down for you, because there's plenty to break down here.
O'Connor and Company with Larry O'Connor. Mornings from 5 to 9. News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news.
Ever wonder why your business doesn't show up on online search maps, but your competitors do? It's hundreds of things. Things that Cumulus Boost can identify and fix. And that's how we boost your findability. CumulusBoost.com. CUMULUS Boost.com.
Hi, I'm Jamie McMurray, professional race car driver here with cab driver Artie.
Professional cab driver.
Sorry, professional cab driver Artie. Drinking responsibly is knowing your limits. If you are over yours, ask Artie or someone like Artie to get you home safely. To learn more about drinking responsibly, go to beforeyoudrink.org.
So, you think I could take your number 26 Crown Royal race car for a spin?
Did you get out of there?
Be a champion. Drink responsibly. This message has been brought to you by the Century Council.
We're with Bridget,
whose husband won't be home for months, and whose daughter is due any day. We're with all service members and their families. Are you with them? Learn more at uso.org today.
Around the clock updates and uncommon understanding.
Listen to this, because this stuff is going on behind the scenes and you don't know about it.
News Talk 105.9. Making sense of the news.
The Bigger Pockets Podcast Network is your home for real estate investing.
Can we have an honest talk about real estate?
What's your opinion on the market?
Every day, I hear people talking about how it's impossible to invest in real estate and it's not even worthwhile anymore. I'm getting pretty frustrated.
Get real talk from real estate pros.
I am trying to be debt-free by 40.
You have got to pay attention to this trend.
Or follow me and I'll let you know what's going on.
Search for the Bigger Pockets Real Estate Show anywhere you listen to your podcasts.
Making sense of your world.
This is no conspiracy theory. This is a fact. Here it is.
Mark Levin, weekdays 6 to 9 p.m.
Listen to this, would you?
News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news. Making sense of your money.
The state of the economy, the ability to afford your life. That's what people want.
WMAL's Vince Colonnades, weekdays at noon.
The kind of thing I pay attention to, I'm looking at.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news.
Imagine the hospital experience. There's a constant parade of serious doctors, countless tests, and a serious diagnosis. Scary surgeries are followed by painful recoveries. You're in the hospital for days, weeks, months. Now imagine you're a child. This is why Starlight exists. Starlight programs help kids in the hospital cope, build resilience, bolster confidence, and change their outlook. Because happiness matters. Visit starlight.org to learn more.
Making sense of the media.
The news media is attacking them because this is what happens when you're a Republican.
Chris Plant, weekdays 9 to noon.
Yeah, our news media, really.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news.
Happy kids heal faster. That's why Starlight Children's Foundation delivers happiness through gaming, toy deliveries, and more to hospitals across the country. Learn more at starlight.org.
Today's students are tomorrow's great thinkers and innovators. But right now, millions of kids don't have the supplies they need. Donor Shoes is a nonprofit that lets you support students and teachers in your community and beyond. Learn more at donorshoes.org.
Nightly Scroll with Haley Carania.
I'm Haley Carania. I scroll with the homies here in the live chat, and I love my long scrolls on my phone at night. The show is literally called Nightly Scroll. My screen time has reached astronomical levels, but I do it to get all of the videos and all of the content that you won't find anywhere else. I don't want to be surrounded by an echo chamber, so I hope you join me. Someone just said the show is great. Keep it up. Thank you. I will.
Nightly Scroll with Haley Carania. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
All right. That's the Democrat Party. I got Chuck Schumer coming up for you, too. The Lizard King. Right now, let's go to the telephones, Mike. Let's go to Steve, calling from Sarasota, Florida. Stephen, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Good morning, Chris. I left Illinois to get away from this vile character, Porky Pigster, from who bought his way into the governor up there. This guy is absolutely the worst of the worst, and for them to have to pull him out right now shows of desperation. It smacks of complete desperation. I was reading out China is really in trouble now because of what's going on with the trade deals, and to have to pull him out is just beyond the pale. I can't tell you. And this speech that he's doing, this is paid for. This is big money, like paid for kind of type of speech that he practiced over and over. This guy is a terrible individual, terrible human being, instituted the worst policies in Illinois. I mean, it's like the Illinois Nazis have just risen to the surface here and bringing him out.
And the violent rhetoric. The rhetoric is so violent, and it's normal for the Democrats now.
Right, and so I agree with Jamie Raskin. These people are on the edge. They're on the precipice. They know they're being licked. And they have to try. They're desperate to do anything.
And they're trying to incite. They are inciting. There's no doubt about that. And if anyone's they rioted 550 times, then January 6th happened, and it's the first riot ever. You know, if anybody beat up an ABC reporter the way Jack Posobiec was beat up, it'd be the biggest story in the world for a year.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now.
WMAL News at 10. Good morning, everyone. I'm John Matthews, breaking this hour. After an optimistic tone on the first 100 days, a grim economic reality arrives on day 101 of Trump 2.0.
The gross domestic product declined 0.3% in the first quarter. Economists were expecting an increase. It is the steepest decline in the GDP in 3 years. The report covers the months leading up to broader tariffs revealed on April 2nd. However, it also includes the California wildfires in January. Consumer spending increased in the quarter, a sign of stocking up as Americans anticipated prices going up. Ginny Coselda, Fox News.
On Truth Social, President Trump responded, quote, "This is Biden's stock market, not Trump's." He went on to say, quote, "Our country will boom, but we have to get rid of the Biden overhang." Right now, the Dow is down 619 points on fears of recession. A scandal brewing for the GOP in the Virginia race for lieutenant governor after racy photos were leaked of nominee John Reed.
I think it's because I'm a gay candidate, and I don't appreciate that, and I'm not going to back down now.
Reed, a longtime conservative radio host from Richmond, telling WMAL's O'Connor Company he was told in last week's phone call with Governor Glenn Youngkin to step aside. Yesterday, the governor softening his tone.
He and I had a very serious personal conversation, and the decision is John's and up to John.
Current Lieutenant Governor Winsome Sears, who's running for Youngkin's slot, in a statement echoed the same, saying we all have our own race to run. Barbara Britt, WMAL and WMAL.com.
The day after Mayor Bowser and the Commanders rolled out their big stadium plan for RFK at the National Press Club, opponents gathered in a tiny room in Southeast to lay out a different vision.
I fully understand the press conference is a big show and a big rollout, and it's a lot of fun and excitement, but now the hard work really begins.
Ward 6 council member Charles Allen believes the mayor's July 15th deadline for a council vote is unrealistic, and neighbors are hoping that vote spells out no NFL at RFK.
It's a once-in-a-lifetime chance to develop the community, to develop that beautiful plot of land.
7 News' Liana Golden reporting. President Trump wants to crack down on states that offer certain benefits to illegal immigrants. Maryland is one of those states.
Back in 2013, Maryland passed Senate Bill 715 that allows undocumented drivers filing a state tax return or being claimed as a dependent the ability to get a license. Maryland is one of almost 20 states to allow this, as well as other benefits, including work permits and in-state tuition. But an executive order wants federal agencies to, quote, take action to stop the enforcement of state and local laws allowing for these benefits. In a statement, the NBA offered Maryland issues driver's licenses as governed under state law. Scott Lynn on WMAL and WMAL.com.
Checking your money. The Dow is down 696 points. The NASDAQ is down 470. Up next, traffic and weather on WMAL.
Making sense of the headlines, making sense of your world. WMAL's Vince Colonnese.
Thank you for all you do on the radio show.
What a nice call. Thank you very much.
Weekdays, noon to 3. News Talk 105.9. WMAL, making sense of the news.
Hey, weekend warriors. How's a little trail therapy sound right now? Hop in. Let's go for a ride in the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X. Tune out all those working days. Turn up that twin-turbo V6 engine. Instead of letting the kids play online, show them some epic inclines. Turn your 8-person family dinner into an exhilarating off-road adventure. The all-new Nissan Armada is here. Intelligent four-wheel drive cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions.
When you're in HR, it can feel like nothing is easy. From payroll to PTO, from onboarding to benefits, and everything in between. It's a constant juggle of tasks, systems, and spreadsheets. But your HR software? That's the easy part. Meet Bamboo HR, trusted by over 34,000 companies, and handles all your HR tasks, payroll, benefits, and time tracking. So your team and your company can grow as fast as, well, Bamboo. And Bamboo HR software is actually easy to use. One simple system that pulls all your people data together in one place, so you can ditch scattered systems and wasted hours on tasks that should only take minutes. Because when HR is easier, you can focus on what matters most, your people. HR is hard. Bamboo HR is easy. Ready to simplify all your HR tasks? For a limited time, get a $100 Visa gift card when you complete a free demo at bamboohr.com/gift card. Again, that's bamboohr.com/gift card. Terms and conditions apply.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
WMAL traffic and weather, Steve Hirshhorn in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
Head over to Arlington County, where 123 remains closed in both directions just north of Glebe Road and the Chain Bridge because of wires down in the roadway. They're going to be directed away from that until further notice. 395 northbound, extremely slow from King Street across the 14th Street Bridge over toward the 3rd Street Tunnel. There's been police activity in the downtown area with a lot of detours from the 12th Street Tunnel and the 9th Street Tunnel as well. They are reopening now, but it's still extremely slow through there. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
Mostly sunny skies. High temperatures will be in the 80s. Tonight we drop to the mid-50s to lower 60s, trending dry. Tomorrow, better chance for showers and storms later in the day and into the evening. Highs upper 70s to lower 80s. I'm 7 News meteorologist Steve Rudin, the First Alert Weather Center.
Right now it is 75 at Reagan National. I'm John Matthews. News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. Chris Plant.
Do you think the reputation of the United States has gone down under your presidency? No, I think it's gone way up, and I think we're a respected country again. We were laughed at all over the world. We had a president that couldn't walk up a flight of stairs, couldn't walk down a flight of stairs, couldn't walk across the stage without falling. We had a president that was grossly incompetent. You knew it, I knew it, and everybody knew it, but you guys didn't want to write it because you're fake news. All right. Thank you. And by the way, ABC is one of the worst. I have to be honest with you. Thank you for the opinion.
Yes. Well, that's why you're interviewing me. That's Terry Moran, award-winning left-wing radical extremist journalist at ABC Fake News. President Trump, perhaps inexplicably, decided to sit down with Terry Moran of the Democratic Party yesterday, who couldn't have been more smug. Well, maybe he could have been. I don't know. He's pretty smug. But it's one of his areas. There's no doubt about that. And a very good Wednesday to you. Welcome back. We continue to be reached at 888-630-9625. Absolutely toll-free. And President Trump had a big rally in Michigan last night. Big, really big. Everyone was happy. There are conservatives. There was one crazy Democrat. Was it a man or a woman? I'm not sure whether it was a man or if it was a woman. President Trump couldn't tell either. All we know is that it was a Democrat, and you know how difficult that can be sometimes because you're Democrats. It's peculiar. Speaking of which, that works perfectly with today's story about Robert De Niro. He was in a movie called Taxi Driver about 50 years ago, and it was a pretty good movie. It was good. It was violent. The Democrats love a lot of shooting, a lot of violence. They love prostitution. Oh yeah, speaking of which, I had with me today what they call the Coalition of American Sex Workers, established in 2024. I have their symbol right in front of me. Michael Piercy and I were just talking about pinning it up on the wall here in the studio because they call prostitutes sex workers. Just call them your daughters. It's the Coalition of American Democrat Daughters, I think, might be the way to go. Isn't that amazing? The news media very, very riled up because they say that the gross domestic product has declined in the first quarter by 0.3%. 0.3%. And the media is spoozing all over the place because they can't get enough of what is bad for the United States is good for the Democrats. And if it really hadn't declined the GDP 0.3%, they'd just make it up and say that it had, but they'd be vague and non-specific. But I mentioned the Coalition of American Sex Workers, which is a Democrat Party prostitution front group. Amazing stuff. Renee Olstead announces a new nonprofit status for the Sex Workers' Rights Initiative amid GOP pushback, because the Democrats are pushing forward with prostitution and the Republicans are pushing back because Republicans are of the opinion that raising your daughter to be a street hooker is probably not the best goal, not what you should shoot for. Am I right? Honestly. But that's what the Democrats are doing. Out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which used to be such a normal place, and now they got that judge, that crazy Judge Dugan, who's sneaking criminal wife beaters out the back door, not even his wife, somebody else's wife. Beat the guy up, beat him like a drum, and then beat the woman. And when they both showed up in court to testify against the illegal alien, Democrat Judge Dugan sneaked the illegal alien woman beater out the back door and set him free because she's mental. And the Wisconsin Supreme Court yesterday actually suspended this lunatic judge, which is a very good thing indeed. In fact, she should be disbarred and cast out of the awful, horrible, corrupt, filthy legal profession. Maybe she could go with the Coalition of American Sex Workers, which they've announced is, now getting tax benefits. I'm not even kidding. Pretty amazing stuff. Renee Olmstead turns political backlash into momentum with the announcement of her initiative of a new nonprofit status following criticism from Wisconsin GOP lawmakers over her recent state recognition by Representatives Ryan Clancy, Francesca Hong, Darren Madison, and Christian Phelps. Got her recognition. Yeah, did a recent state recognition by Democrats. And the news report here doesn't identify them all as Democrats because the person typing up the story is a Democrat too.
You're a prostitute.
Presented with a legislative citation on April 19th, honoring her achievements in entertainment and activism, the Penthouse magazine Pet of the Year and Sex Worker, that is to say, skanky, disease-ridden prostitute, she's sex workers' rights advocate, was targeted by GOP critics, but used the moment to announce that the CASW, it's the Coalition of American Sex Workers, the CASW, we've got a new acronym, a new abbreviation to memorize, had officially received nonprofit status and is now accepting donations to expand its legal aid. Sure, that's good. Because the Democrats are looking to mainstream and legalize prostitution, just like marijuana. And this is the Corleone family is looking at this and saying, wow, the government, the Democrat Party has become the Corleone family.
Do you think that sex work ought to be decriminalized?
I think so. I do. When you're talking about consenting adults, I think that, yes, we should really consider that we can't criminalize consensual behavior.
Yeah, and that's Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris, we should legalize prostitution and pot and illegal immigration and gangs from Venezuela and gangs from El Salvador. Sorry, I forgot to use my Spanish accent and all that stuff. Aren't they amazing? They are truly amazing. You're a Democrat Party. Legalize it all. And again, what did the Corleone, Vito Corleone didn't want to get into the drugs business. He didn't like that dirty drugs business. He thought it was dirty. But gambling and prostitution, they control the gambling, the prostitution, and the judges and police that Vito Corleone carried around in his pocket like so many nickels and dimes, right? Like so many nickels and dimes. And now the Democrats carry around judges like Judge Dugan in their pocket like so many nickels and dimes. They legalized pot so that they could tax it and get a piece of it. That's the same reason the Corleone family eventually, thanks to Sony, and then Michael went into the drug business. There's a lot of money in that white powder pop as Santino Corleone said. And now the Democrat Party legalizing prostitution so they can tax it, so they can wet their beak. And that's Kamala Harris. She wanted to be president. The Democrats wanted to make her president. The media wanted to make her president. Legalize prostitution so all your daughters can grow up to be skanky, disease-riddled hookers. And that's what the Democrats say. Legalize pot, and then, legalize prostitution, then they tax it, and they get their piece of it, like the Corleone family, right? And they legalize pot, and they tax it, and they get their piece of it, like the Corleone family. And the gambling, which used to be limited to Nevada and then a bit in Atlantic City, New Jersey, now there are casinos everywhere, and they did it under the cover of Native American tribes, American Indian tribes. Well, they've got their own nations, and they can have casinos. Now the casinos are everywhere because the Democrats realized they could wet their beak. They could get a piece of it. So now the Democrats and the U.S. government, they're the Corleone family. They control the gambling, the drugs, the prostitution, and the judges and corrupt politicians like so many nickels and dimes. And they are organized crime, and they're violent every day. And the governor of Illinois threatening violence and saying the only thing that Republicans should never have a moment of peace. And don't forget the punch in the face thing, because the only thing that Republicans need is a punch in the face, because Republicans are tyrants and traitors, right? But Republicans should have no peace, not a moment.
Republicans cannot know a moment of peace.
They cannot know a moment of peace. This is gangsterism right out of some radical left-wing third world beep-hole country that sane people would flee. And it's today's Democratic Party. Make no mistake. They are not on our side. Boy, are they not on our side. But President Trump opened with a soundbite of President Trump talking to Terry at ABC News. And wait till you hear this, but it's, and President Trump at the, I'm going to wait for Robert De Niro until we get to President Trump at his speech in Michigan last night. But let's go back to the Terry Moran interview at ABC Fake News, where he begins with, do you think the reputation of the United States has gone down? Our reputation has gone down under you? And President Trump pointed out, well, no, we have respect again. You think Joe Biden did Terry Moran ask that question of Joe Biden? Because, war in Europe, war in the Middle East, open borders, gangs pouring into the country. We became the laughing stock of the world. We had 9-point-something% inflation. Now it's down to 2-point-something% inflation. Yeah, Joe Biden was the laughing stock of the world, but Terry Moran, it would never occur to anybody at ABC News to bring it to Joe Biden, because they're filthy, corrupt, left-wing radicals who support political violence every day. Never ask a question about that. Terry Moran, soundbite number 2, Terry Moran with President Trump yesterday, talking about the border, because Terry Moran is for open borders, for gangs, for more murder and rape and drug trafficking.
Do you acknowledge that under our law, every single person who gets deported gets a hearing first to make their case?
Well, are we talking about people that are citizens of our country or not?
No, you're not deporting citizens at this point.
Well, let me ask you, did they get hearings when Biden allowed 21 million, because I think the number is 20 million people to flow into our country? You had 21 million people that came into our country through a stupid open border. Now, but did we give them a hearing when they came in?
Terry Moran said, no, we've got to tie up the courts with our Harvard wankers for the next 15 years, giving everyone, they like to call it due process. They don't give due process to President Trump or to a busload of Trump administration people that they arrested in airports and pre-dawn raids in their homes with CNN camera crews behind them because of the propaganda value, and the FBI people that brought in the top secret cover sheets and then photographed them and leaked them to the media. Terry Moran and the ABC, they were good with all that. But let's make sure to stand up for all the gang members.
The law requires that every single person who is going to be deported gets a hearing first.
Well,
you acknowledge that?
I'll have to ask the lawyers about that. All I can say is this: if you're going to have 21 million people, and if we have to get a lot of them out because they're criminals, we're going to have to act fast. We can, do you think we can give 21 million trials? Let's say each trial takes 2 weeks. Is that what you want us to do?
The law
Give
is the
21
law,
million?
sir. Oh, the law is the law, sir. Was he in Barack Obama's face other than to, try to French kiss him when Barack Obama deported literally millions of people, a bare minimum 3 million people? Barack Obama deported, some say more than 5 million people that Barack Obama deported. And where was ABC on that? That's pretty amazing stuff. He's a corrupt individual, not a journalist, but a Democrat activist. Be it known. Maybe you should ask him about all the violent attacks by Democrats across the country, from the shootings to the fire bombings, and the violent attack on Jack Posobiec by Union thugs directed by Democrat Congressman. Because that's okay. You know that this country was built on hard work and on grit. Whether you're standing every day for long hours, running errands, chasing the kids, just doing your part to keep the world turning on its axis, you shouldn't have to deal with fatigue and foot pain every day. And that is where G-Defy shoes come in. G-Defy shoes are built with patented VersaShock technology. The Federal Trade Commission has authorized G-Defy to tell you and tell the world that these shoes will help to relieve minor occasional pain associated with walking, running, and prolonged periods of standing. G-Defy shoes help to absorb harmful shock. They align your body, improve your biomechanics, and return energy with every step that you take. My best girl and I, yesterday, hey, they're at G-Defy. We have 2 pairs each now. And right now, you can get 50% off your order of $120 or more by texting Chris to 91888. Or you can go on Al Gore's amazing internet to gdefy.com, GDEFY.com. Use the code Chris. And with G-Defy's 60-day risk-free trial, you've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. Message and data rates apply. Yeah, wait till you hear there's more of the ABC fake news interview, the questions and answers, and then President Trump's big rally in Michigan last night, too.
There's only one Chris Plant, The Chris Plant Show.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
Hey, weekend warriors, how's a little trail therapy sound right now? Hop in. Let's go for a ride in the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X. Tune out all those working hours. Turn up that twin-turbo V6 engine. Instead of letting the kids play online, show them some epic inclines. Turn your 8-person family dinner into an exhilarating off-road adventure. The all-new Nissan Armada is here. Intelligent four-wheel drive cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions.
How's it going?
I'm having a stroke.
Are you going to shake my hand?
I'm having a stroke.
Wow, you're not even moving your arm.
I'm having a stroke.
When someone is having a stroke, they may not be able to say it with words, but their body language will tell you loud and clear. Look for FAST. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911 immediately. Know the sudden signs. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
Making sense of your world.
Common sense. Let's get back to common sense.
WMAL's Vince Colonnese, weekdays at noon.
Now that should give you a lot of cause for hope.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news. Making sense of the headlines. Making sense of your world. WMAL's Vince Colonnese.
Thank you for all you do on the radio show.
What a nice call. Thank you very much.
Weekdays noon to 3. News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
Nightly Scroll with Haley Carania.
I'm Haley Carania. I scroll with the homies here in the live chat, and I love my long scrolls on my phone at night. The show is literally called Nightly Scroll. My screen time has reached astronomical levels, but I do it to get all of the videos and all of the content that you won't find anywhere else. I don't want to be surrounded by an echo chamber, so I hope you join me. Someone just said the show is great. Keep it up. Thank you. I will.
Nightly Scroll with Haley Carania. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Today's students are tomorrow's great thinkers and innovators. But right now, millions of kids don't have the supplies they need. Donor Shoes is a nonprofit that lets you support students and teachers in your community and beyond. Learn more at donorshoes.org.
Illuminating the issues.
There's a whole lot missing here in this story, isn't there?
Every day.
Why are we the only ones reporting this?
News Talk 105.9. Making sense of the news. Making sense of the media.
The news media is attacking him because this is what happens when you're a Republican.
Chris Plant. Weekdays 9 to noon.
Yeah, our news media, really.
News Talk 105.9. WMAL. Making sense of the news.
Hi, I'm Jamie McMurray, professional race car driver here with cab driver Artie.
Professional cab driver.
Sorry, professional cab driver Artie. Drinking responsibly is knowing your limits. If you are over yours, ask Artie or someone like Artie to get you home safely. To learn more about drinking responsibly, go to beforeyoudrink.org.
So, you think I could take your number 26 Crown Royal race car for a spin?
Did you get out of there?
Be a champion. Drink responsibly. This message has been brought to you by the Century Council.
Searching HVAC near here.
Right here, ma'am. How can we help?
Wow, nobody local? Huh.
Wait, what? We are an HVAC company literally in your neighborhood. Why is she not seeing us?
Just all the big chains. Well, it is what it is.
What in the... Can you not see us?
Nope, they can't see you because you're buried deep in the list of local HVAC providers. You are invisible online. Introducing Cumulus Boost. Get a boost, get found, get on the map. Learn more at cumulusboost.com.
75 years of research, 75 years of policy,
75 years of opportunity,
75 years of freedom.
This is 75 years of the Muscular Dystrophy Association.
Join us at mda75.org.
Hey there, I'm Paula Pam, host of the Afford Anything podcast. I help people make the smartest money decisions possible.
You should not do the 401k loan.
Reason number 4,872. Are we heading for a recession?
You'd be shocked.
Dumping it into the house?
Invest in flipping houses.
Mathematically the better option.
Paula Pam's really keeping us in business.
Because face it, money's too important to wing it. Review your budget.
Take the reins.
Sharpen your skills.
Do the thing.
Start a side hustle
that will affect your life.
Right. Afford Anything. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
WMAL, making sense of the forecast, because you never know what Mother Nature has in store. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
Yeah, what do you hear the Terry Moran sham interview? And President Trump's big rally in Michigan last night. Great stuff. Let us go to the telephones in the interregnum, Michael. Let's go to Mark, calling from Frederick, Maryland. Mark, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris, happy to be here, long-time listener. I appreciate the opportunity to kind of draw some analogies between what happened in World War II and where we are now. I think we had an opportunity to address a problem in the world prior to World War II, and we chose not to. And it cost us many lives and a tremendous amount of commitment to remain like the driving force in the world. And I think we're at that same point right now. We're over $30 trillion in debt. Our GDP is well less than that. You know, being the guiding force in the world is a difficult job, and it should be. And I think there are tougher times ahead financially, but it pales in comparison to what we as a country had to commit during World War II. I think in order to remain, you know, the number one country in the world, you have to be willing to sacrifice. And I think as a general rule, as Americans, we're not accustomed to that anymore. We become very comfortable, and whenever it's time to suffer, we tend to balk. But I think we're on the right path, and I believe that President Trump's vision will fix the problem, even in its late stages. That's just my point of view.
Well, I think I wouldn't dispute anything that you've said at all. I think you're correct. You're paying attention. Historical context is vitally important. And sometimes when you go to get your house in order at home or as a country, when you got to cut back on spending in the house because you find yourself in debt. And we're $36 trillion in debt. It would take 1 million years to pay off at $1 a second.
This is the Chris Plant Show. WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now.
WMAL News at 10:30. Good morning. I'm John Matthews. The U.S. economy shrank 0.3% in the first quarter, the first drop in 3 years, slowed by a surge in imports as companies in the U.S. tried to bring in foreign goods before President Trump imposed massive tariffs. Consumer spending also slowed sharply. President Trump is blaming former President Biden. Ukraine's ready to sign a landmark mineral resources agreement with the U.S. Ukrainian sources say the country's economy minister is currently in Washington for the final coordination of the agreement's technical details. The Ukrainian cabinet expected to approve the agreement's text today. Virginia's GOP nominee for Lieutenant Governor John Reed has rejected Governor Glenn Youngkin's request that he drop out of the race over racy photos posted online that were attributed to him. Reed denies any wrongdoing and tells WMAL he thinks he was targeted because he's gay. Traffic and weather next.
Every 15 seconds, someone is diagnosed with cancer. If it's happened to you or someone you love, the American Cancer Society can help at every step of the journey. Visit cancer.org today.
Why did I wait so long to see a retina specialist?
Retinal disease can steal your eyesight, but it doesn't have to. Patients who seek care from a retina specialist have the best chance of preventing vision loss due to age-related macular degeneration or diabetic retinopathy. AMD symptoms to look out for are distortion or warping of straight lines, as well as blurred or loss of central vision. Patients with diabetic retinopathy should seek treatment if they notice the appearance of spots or floaters or blurred and distorted vision. Visit seeforalifetime.org.
Steve Hirshhorn in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
We'll head back to Arlington County, where north and south on 123 is still closed just north of Glebe Road and the Chain Bridge because of wires down in the roadway. You'll still be directed by police until further notice. That's 123 near the Chain Bridge, and Glebe Road on the Virginia side is still blocked off. Around the Beltway on the outer loop. Very slow up from Pennsylvania Avenue to where a vehicle fire was after Central Avenue before Medical Center Drive just cleared up. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
Sunshine this afternoon with a high of 82. It is 76 right now at Reagan National. John Matthews, News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
I was choosing alcohol over my family. That's when I made the call. Now I'm finding better ways to cope.
Mental health care works when you make the call. Visit mentalhealthcareworks.org. A message from the American Psychiatric Association Foundation.
No Contest Wrestling, O'Shea Jackson Jr. and TJ Jefferson with the biggest names in the game.
Give it up for the Dark Angel, first
I can believe it.
NXT double champion. Welcome to King, Lexus King.
I don't know if I'd be where I'm at now if I didn't take the path that I took.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jada Parker.
What made you, after the soccer career, go WWE?
The answer I always have to that is like, why not?
The No Contest Wrestling Podcast, part of the Rich Eisen Podcast Network. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Well, spring is in the air, you've doubtless noticed, but your beautiful treasured rugs and carpets, well, still carrying stuff from winter and last fall and leaves and salt and all kinds of nastiness. And that is why you need a healthy spring refresh. You need Hadid. The Hadid difference is Joe Hadid's unique combination of traditional cleaning methods and modern equipment, giving your home or office that deep down hygienic professional clean that cannot be matched. You can save even more money right now without compromising quality on rugs that qualify for Hadid's Express service. The same amazing Hadid cleaning, but for less cash. Expert repair and restoration available too. They did one of our rugs. Now it's 2 rugs, and just a beautiful job. Call today and take advantage of 15% off all in-plant rug cleaning. Get your spring freshness on. Visit joehadid.com today.
The
Actor Michael Rosenbaum, you know some of the most talented people in the business.
Let's get inside of Jack Osborne.
Fans would say Black Sabbath was a huge influence.
And thank God you liked it, boy.
Yeah.
Elijah Wood.
Peter gets on the phone. Elijah, would you like to play the role further?
Did you cry?
Probably screamed at the top of my lungs.
You play iconic characters, Black Canary and Black Siren. Who would you choose?
Probably Black Siren. She was like, I got this. And that's how Katie Cassidy feels. She's got this.
I like that.
The Inside of You podcast. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. The few, the proud, the Marines.
WMAL, making sense of the roads, because traffic doesn't always follow the pattern. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
Now, President Trump sat down with Terry Moran of ABC Fake News, left-wing activist, not a journalist, not a level-headed thought has crossed his mind in decades, I would surmise. And of course they're going full court press on defending MS-13 and Tren de Aragua, and they love gang members in particular that beat women. That's one of the big Democrats. Even their Judge Dugan, maybe she doesn't know what a woman is either, since Ketanji Brown Jackson and the Supreme Court doesn't know what a woman is. Maybe Judge Dugan doesn't know what a woman is either. But she left the victims who had been beaten mercilessly by the illegal alien criminal. She just left them in the courtroom while she sneaked the criminal out the back door. And now the Supreme Court in the state of Wisconsin has suspended that judge, and that is great news. Wisconsin Supreme Court suspends Judge Dugan indefinitely, given that she is involved in an ongoing criminal enterprise and freeing criminals, sneaking them out the back door of the courthouse instead of adjudicating the case and holding criminals who are also illegal aliens responsible for the crimes they commit, beating women's faces in. But never mind that. So the Wisconsin Supreme Court on yesterday, suspended Judge Hannah Dugan. She's accused of helping a man evade immigration agents and justice in the case that he was in court for. At the courthouse, in a statement, Dugan's legal team, the news media goes right to her defense, right? And she's got a legal team. Isn't that great? Said it was disappointed. They were disappointed. The legal team, they were disappointed that the court acted in unilateral fashion. No sense of irony. You must be kidding me. That the Supreme Court acted in the judge acted in a unilateral, Judge Dugan acted in a unilateral fashion, freeing a criminal who beat the hell out of a woman and a man, and she sneaked him out the back door. Now that is the very model of a unilateral action by the corrupt judge, who should be disbarred and never allowed to practice law in the United States again. She could move to some beep-hole country where her left-wing radical extreme sensibilities might fit in more comfortably. Isn't that amazing? Milwaukee Circuit Court judge accused of helping a man avoid immigration enforcement in the courthouse. She also avoided, again, it was her courtroom that she avoided having, the people who were beaten, the victims, they were kicked to the curb by Judge Dugan, and the criminal got a rub down and an escort out the back door of the courthouse. Democrat Party. All right, and so Terry Moran at ABC was defending the criminals and the illegal aliens and the gangs and any bad guy in the world. The Democrat Party is there to defend.
We have thousands of murderers that came in. They're going to murder people. They already have murdered people in our country.
Right, so
we have to get them out.
they're
We
bad
have to get them
guys,
out fast.
really bad guys. But in our country, even bad guys get due process.
He just blows that
If
off.
people come
Like
into
two.
our country illegally, there's a different standard. These are illegal. They came in illegally.
But they get due process.
Well, they get a process where we have to get them out. Yeah.
They got a process right now, and let's keep in mind the hypocrite
Terry Moran here. The news media really riled up. Trump touts immigration crackdown despite concerns about due process. That's the Reuters news agency. And President Trump has deported about 130,000 illegal aliens in a quarter of a year now, about 3 months, 100 days. And the news media, they tell me that about 130, and the government tells me, the Trump administration, about 130,000 illegal aliens have been deported. And they're targeting in particular gang members and people that have, in addition to being here illegally, committed violent crimes and have affiliations with gangs, violent gangs from other countries. In the Democrat Party, they are protectors, defenders, and they celebrate the illegal alien gangs. Now, I went to a CNN story today from 2019, CNN. Yes, Obama deported more people than Trump, but context is everything. Yeah, the context is you guys voted for Obama and didn't vote for Trump. That's the context. But the people at CNN in 2019, they informed me that according to an analysis by the Migration Policy Institute, more than 12 million people were deported or removed during the Clinton administration. Again, 130,000 for President Trump so far this year, 130,000, 12 million by Bill Clinton. More than 10 million were removed or returned during the George W. Bush administration. They just say Bush. They don't even use his whole name because they're still angry about him being president. Far fewer, more than 5 million, were removed during the Obama administration. So I meant, so that's a million a year, 1.25. Well, it's 5 million. So let me see. I got to break up my Bomar calculator. More than 5 million by the Obama administration, 12 million by the Clinton administration, 10 million removed by the George W. Bush administration. And they're all going bat guano, over 130,000, targeting gang members and violent criminals. And they've got Terry Moran in their corner. There's no doubt about that. President Trump inexplicably talking to Terry Moran of ABC Fake News.
When we have criminals, murderers, criminals in this country, we have to get them out, and we're doing it. And you'll pick out one man, but even the man that you picked out, he said he wasn't a member of a gang. And then they looked, and on his knuckles, he had MS-13.
There's a dispute.
Wait a minute.
Listen to
Wait
this.
a minute. He had MS-13 on his knuckles tattoo.
He had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute.
No, let's not move on, you fascist.
The letter MS-13.
It says MS-13.
That was Photoshop.
That was Photoshop.
Terry, you can't do that.
He is a lying Sacagawea. What a lion sack this boy is. And they're so stupid and ignorant and filthy dishonest, and he's perfectly typical. As I like to point out, they don't follow the news. Now, it's true that photographs, and it was while Democrat Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen was visiting him for some reason in a prison in El Salvador. And again, that's another woman beater, a wife beater, and baby mama beater who beat the hell out of his wife, and she got a restraining order against him. And the Democrats are his champion because they love wife beaters. I think if you're a woman and you're married to a Democrat, you might be in danger. Pretty amazing stuff. But the photograph that I saw initially was while Senator, Democrat, radical extremist, un-American, anti-woman Chris Van Hollen
What the fuck?
They had a cross. It was a cross. But that was changed. That was altered. That tattoo. And the photo.
Wow, they keep interrupting my program.
Tattoos on the knuckles of the left hand, explaining what those tattoos represent. And Terry, the arrogant, the smugness of this mamma jamma is almost impossible to believe. That's been debunked. No, that's not true. That was Photoshopped. He has no filthy, and the arrogance and the smugness, while he is dead stinking wrong, is just astonishing. These people. It doesn't say MS-13. That was Photoshopped. You're so stupid. You should be fired by Disney, which does fantasy stuff, and he's doing fantasy stuff here. But that is just astonishing. And the arrogance, the smugness, that was Photoshop. He's dead wrong, completely, and so arrogant that he's pushing back in the face of the President of the United States, who's right, and this creep didn't bother to do his research, doesn't follow the news, doesn't know what's in the news, doesn't know what the photos he saw on the internet mean. Somebody, a gang expert, went in and put symbols over the tattoos on the knuckles and said, here's what these mean. Ask any gang expert. But Terry Moran, no, and he's just being an arrogant smug, yada, yada.
Hey, they're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You know, you're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay. But I picked you, Terry, but you're not being very nice. He had MS-13 tattooed.
We'll agree to disagree. I want to move on to something else.
Terry,
I'm going to cut you off. We're going to agree to disagree.
Picture?
I saw the picture.
Then you think it was Photoshop.
And you think it was Photoshop. I know what Terry Moran's talking about, but Terry Moran doesn't know what Terry Moran's talking about. President Trump knows what Terry Moran's talking about, but Terry Moran doesn't know what Terry Moran's talking about. He should be fired. Any self-respecting news organization, that's quite a stretch, isn't it? They would fire him today. President Trump is he's not going to give up on this.
Don't look at his hand. He
did have tattoos that can be interpreted that way. I'm not an expert on them. I want to turn to Ukraine. I want to get to Ukraine.
No.
Good.
He had MS as clear as you can be, not interpreted. This is why people no longer believe the news, because
when
it's fake news.
In El Salvador, they aren't there. But let's just go. They aren't there.
Wrong again.
They weren't there, but they're there now, right?
No,
but
they're in your picture.
Terry,
Ukraine.
He's got MS-13 on his knuckles.
All right.
Okay?
We'll take a look.
It's such a disservice.
We'll take a look at that.
Why don't you just say it? Yes, he does.
The arrogance, because he's defending every wife-beating criminal gang member illegally in the country. Man, oh man.
They already have murdered people in our country.
Like two, he says. So the millions of illegal aliens, like two. We can go with Lake and Riley. That's one, and there's Rachel Morin. That's two, and he couldn't name those two women either, but never mind that. The Wall Street Journal, which isn't what it used to be, also has the headline today based on this ABC interview. Trump insists wrongly deported man, I don't think he was wrongly deported, has MS-13 tattooed on his knuckles. The president also says he could ask for Kilmar Abrego Garcia's return from Salvadoran prison. But I'm not the one making this decision. The president of El Salvador would have to go along with it. But the MS-13 on his knuckles, the Wall Street Journal doesn't cover the story properly either. Just amazing. And if you followed this, and you probably did, unlike Terry Moran at the time, the photographs that show, and then his the baby mama, who he eventually married in prison after beating her and before beating her again, she posted photos of him, and his left hand was visible in the photos that she posted, making clear the gang tattoos, which represent MS-13. And she used like little, what do you call them, like emoji hearts to cover up the knuckles on the photographs that she pasted. Just amazing. And the fake media covering this story again and again online today, not showing the photographs of his knuckles and not showing the gang expert adding the representations above the tattoos on the knuckles. The Democrat Party is an extraordinarily corrupt organization. Man, oh man. And then he went, I've got other things I want to attack you on. I want to attack you on Ukraine. which started under Joe Biden, and there's a communist, Vladimir Putin, who launched that, and they love killing millions of people, like the Democrats with the organ harvest and helpless little babies. But here he is attacking Pete Hegseth.
You said the other day that you had a talk with the secretary. Did you take him to the woodshed? I had a talk with him, and
the woodshed.
Whatever I said, I probably wouldn't be inclined to tell you. But we had a good talk. He's a talented guy. He's young. He's smart, highly educated. And I think he's going to be a very good hopefully a great defense secretary, but he'll be a very good defense secretary.
And that's why he's standing by his guy, and that's entirely appropriate because I was talking to somebody yesterday, Washington Plugged In, talking about Pentagon friends, and I don't want to give away too much, but a high-ranking Pentagon official who came to this guy, and he said, well, what is with Hegseth? And he said, Hegseth is great. He's fine. Everything is good. The troops are good. The people directly under him are good. Everything is just fine with Pete Hegseth. But the Democrats, you know how they are. And he's pushing again. No, we got to get rid of. And then if they could take out Hegseth, then they would attack another cabinet member.
You have 100% confidence in. I don't have 100% confidence in anything. Okay, anything. Do I have 100%? It's a stupid question. Look, it's pretty important. I have no. You don't have 100%. Only a liar would say I have 100% confidence. I don't have 100% confidence that we're going to finish this interview. We will.
No, I would have cut it off right there. Well, that'd be it. I just proved you wrong again. All right, I'm gone. You're right. We're finishing the interview. Bye. And then amazing. And did this creep hit Joe Biden with, well, do you have 100% confidence in Lloyd Austin, his defense secretary, who disappeared for weeks and didn't tell anybody where he was while he was in the hospital with major medical maladies and war breaking out all over the world while the defense secretary was gone? And let's go with your Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, while war was breaking out. Where was he? 100% confidence, Joe Biden, in your Secretary of Defense and your Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, who was opening a private line to General Lee in communist China. You have 100% confidence there? Our media is the most corrupt institution in America. Terry Moran should be fired for that interview. ABC should not be allowed into the White House for the next 3 3/4 years. ABC News should be barred from the White House because of that fake interview. That's everything that's wrong with the news media right there. You know that the all-new third-generation Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier has finally arrived, and it builds on the incredible success of the previous generations, and the models that earned them thousands of 5-star reviews on Al Gore's amazing internet quickly became a bestseller. This new thunderstorm uses 2 different technologies that studies have shown help to kill up to 99.9% of bacteria and viruses floating in the air. It removes dust and pet stuff and smoke and a whole lot more from the air that you breathe. And you don't have to buy filters again and again to replace, which is annoying. The Eden Pure Thunderstorm will help get rid of any stinky smell, guaranteed. Trash cans, cigarette smoke, liberal protesters, musty basements. No match for the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. And right now, you can save $200 American on an Eden Pure Thunderstorm 3-pack for whole home protection. You can put one in your basement, your bedroom, your teenager's room, any place you like to breathe clean, fresh air. All you have to do is go to EdenPureDeals.com and use the discount code CHRIS3, CHRIS and the number 3 to save $200 on 3 thunderstorms. That's EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is CHRIS3. Yeah, ABC News. Now, President Trump had a rally in Michigan last night, and a lot of fun was had by everyone there. Terry Moran was not there.
I don't have 100% confidence that we're going to finish this interview. We will.
You're listening to The Chris Plant Show. News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news.
Yo, I got to cut this short. I'll be back later. I got to go.
What's next? What does my future hold? The thing is, there's no right answer. Only your answer. Your friendships, experiences, and purpose. It's all your choice. So what will you choose? As you make choices